Welcome.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ravi, and thank you to the organizers for giving us this opportunity to come and really share what we are seeing in this new world that we're living in today, and also learn from the experts who are here as part of the panel. So, without further ado, my name is Amrita Dhupelia. I'm the Associate Franchise Director for ASP, which stands for Advanced Sterilization Products, currently a division of Johnson& and Johnson. So my topic today is to obviously touch upon the COVID-19 world, which is new and scary and evolving rapidly for all of us, but then to focus more specifically on importance of instrument sterilization and how as a hospital or a healthcare facility we can help you be better equipped to manage this new world that we're in. Okay, so I think there's nothing new when we talk about hospital-acquired infections. This would be a burning concern on any healthcare facility's mind. Any of the different people working across the hospital do think about HAIs. Patients worry about HAIs, and we know based on studies which exist from over the years that the developing countries face a higher burden with respect to HAIs than some of the Western countries like the US and Europe. So when you look at specifically in India, and the data states here, about 25% of the patients who go into a hospital for any other ailment can possibly come out with a hospital-acquired infection of any kind. So this has always been a burning question and a concern on any healthcare professional that sees this day in and day out. Now, to add to that concern that healthcare professionals, patients, everybody already has, we've now entered a new world where there's another fear of specifically transmission of COVID-19, which sort of hit us out of nowhere, at least in India, around March time earlier this year. So it's not just going in and thinking about possibility of an HAI, but now there are other measures that we always have to think about. Whether you're a staff member, or a surgeon, or any other form of a healthcare professional or a patient, you have to think about hand hygiene, wearing a mask, the 6 feet distance, the coughing and sneezing etiquette, the surface cleaning, all these different areas that you really have to now be more cognizant of or more mindful of, not just when you're in a hospital, but when you're anywhere. So this is, a new change, something that I think we're all learning in this new world. What would be the safety expectations now? I think as a patient, and I think all of us, in some shape or form have experiences either ourselves as a patient or as a caregiver. You want to walk into a safe environment when you're going to the hospital. You want to make sure you are safe and you're receiving quality treatment. So especially at a time like this, I think any of us are wary to go into a hospital if we don't need to. All the elective surgery, everything has been put off because we just want to make sure that you are safe. But as a HCP or a healthcare professional, there's an even heavier reliance now on your staff, your OT staff, or your nurses, making sure the OT is ready in the right way, your instruments are ready in the right way. You really must be able to trust where your instruments are coming from. Are they safe? Are they sterile? I'm just going to adjust my camera because I don't know if you can see me. I hope this is better.
Yeah. We can see the presentation, but we can't see you, Amrita.
Okay.
I think the camera is off.
It's
Just
actually on at my end. The light is on. Let me just let me try again. I'm just switching it off and switching it on again.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Let
We were
me
able to see you in the beginning, but in between it went off.
Yeah, I'm not sure because it's on at my end.
Okay.
If it's okay, can I
Yeah.
continue with my presentation? Yeah.
Carry on.
So
Carry on.
we'll figure out what's wrong later. So anyways, just going back to overall safety, I think there's expectations at both ends. Patients and HCPs are concerned every time we step into a hospital. So going from the larger hospital environment, I wanted to touch upon specifically, based on data and studies that we've reviewed, what are some of the new concerns now that are coming specifically with respect to surgical instrument reprocessing, particularly in a pandemic situation. So it's becoming more and more critical um, to treat reusable medical devices as they are a potential source of transmission. It is a bigger concern now than even before. There's focus shift in hospitals on obviously making sure nothing spreads much more than before. But right now, the situation we are in is highly contagious, so you need to focus on making sure nothing really spreads. But in that process, it's also making the management of everything much more challenging. You're managing patient load, you're managing the reprocessing load or the readiness load for different cases at hospitals overall, are then getting overwhelmed with the situation. And what does that overwhelming factor lead to? It could actually increase the chance of human error as people are overworked or overwhelmed or just have too many different priorities that they have to take in mind. So we completely understand that there are a lot of different things on the minds of healthcare professionals, particularly right now. So just wanted to touch upon maybe a few things, a few measures that we can take, or we can, as a hospital, each of you can take to make sure that this is one thing you check off a box. You don't have to worry about this. Is there are a few measures that are put in place. So obviously, preventing transmission by ensuring that any surgical instrument, particularly a critical device that comes in contact with a patient blood, is properly reprocessed and sterilized. The CSSD staff needs to be given time. I think that's usually where they're the most pressed. Either it's time or there's not enough of them to properly do the cleaning, the disinfection, the sterilization. There are different steps involved in the entire process of reprocessing instruments. So um, I know time is of the essence right now, but finding a way to balance that, to make sure the workflow is really smooth and you can actually ensure that the instrument that's being used is not carrying anything that is contagious. Overall hospital leadership, and I know we have a lot of the hospital leaders here today, must help the doctors and nurses understand that this takes time. I know doctors' priorities are different and they are also pressed for time. But overall, need to come together as a team to understand what are the priorities, what is going to take time, and what can move faster, and ensure that you are minimizing any sort of risk to not just patients, it's yourself, it's your staff, it's everybody. Eventually, it's risk to your families because there is something then, if it gets transmitted, you could be carrying back home to, elderly family members or young kids who we are always worried about. So, really wanting to minimize any of that with a few steps that we can take. And finally, I want to highlight because this is some reason a common misconception that we just soak this in a chemical in a high level disinfectant, this instrument for 20 minutes and it's sterilized. That is not the case. That is not the right way of sterilizing. It's only high level disinfected. It is not sterilized. So it will not take care of any risk that it could possibly pose on to the patient. So that was just one thing that I wanted to highlight here. So finally, I just wanted to talk very briefly about what is it that ASP, Advanced Sterilization Product, can offer in terms of technology. So I know a lot of the esteemed panelists and attendees today are already familiar with this technology, maybe different variants or different models of ASP Sterad, which is our low temperature plasma sterilizer that we've been offering in the market for over 20 years now. So this is used for reprocessing and sterilization of critical instruments before surgery. And depending on different sizes, you have size options, you have cycle options depending on the type of instrument that goes in. This ranges from anything from about half an hour reprocessing to about an hour reprocessing in terms of time, but then you are guaranteed a sterile instrument at the end of the process. This does more than sterilizing your instrument. It actually reduces workflow interruption. It actually helps you optimize the way the processes are run, both in the CSMC and the OT, and limit any chance of disruption or any loss of productivity. So it has a lot of more value-added benefits beyond just sterilizing an instrument. You have better compliance. It's all fully automated, integrated. You can go back at any time and check specific to a load whether in fact it was sterile, whether it passed the biological indicator test, and link it back also to the patient. So you can have these documented records even for your hospital audits or any sort of checks that need to be done. We've made it very simple, so you don't really have to train anybody to use it. It can be used very easily by anybody with, maybe a 10, 15 minutes or a demo, because you can see from the screen, it's like an iPad setup, or a smartphone setup, which a lot of people are very comfortable with. And being a strong brand, ASP has been in the market for over 30 years now. Globally, is the market leader when it comes to low temperature plasma sterilization. You can at least know that you're getting the best that's available. So something that ASP has got very recently amidst the pandemic, we understood obviously that reprocessing N95 masks at a certain point was critical because people were running short of these masks, and this was again leading to spread of infection. So this is just a recent update from a couple of months ago, where the FDA has actually issued an emergency use authorization to help you make sure that you can actually reprocess and decontaminate and sterilize N95 masks in a sterile machine. And finally, I just wanted to wrap up with mentioning what's beyond technology, right? So one is obviously the technology solution, but there's so much more we believe we can do to partner with your hospital, especially at a time like this where I'm sure you'll need us the most. So I just wanted to highlight a few things. There is obviously pressure on capex or capital investment upfront at this point. So we have introduced financing and leasing options for our technology, which can be used by any hospital. We've also got centers of excellence set up at hospitals, at key centers across the country, where we have the entire ecosystem involved installed. It's not just the machine, but the biological reader, the software on the computer, and everything talks to each other in a very seamless fashion. So we have that set up across the regions. We also offer expert advice and consultations and observations, where an expert in the field can come in and identify if there's any gap in the process and really suggest any areas of improvement for you. And finally, I think as ASP J&J, the thing that we do best is always training and education. We invest a lot of money in this area and we offer it at no cost to hospitals around the country. Train everybody on technology as well as, like I mentioned earlier, on process optimization, which is key today, so that your team is taken care of and you have enhanced sterilization and a better workflow overall. So that was sort of what I wanted to highlight. And some of the things we do a lot more, but I think these are things that could be very relevant to the current situation. We have 550 installations in India. It's a huge number, the maximum number of machines that our companies installed in India. And as you can see, it's with all the top names. I know a lot of you come from these hospitals today as well. So really, thank you for your partnership, for your time. We will continue to be here to help you and support you in any way during this pandemic. But I will now wrap up and be happy to take any questions if you have or later as we get a chance to finish. Thank you.